myself are here, and alternate Ken Johnson is here, and our land use administrator, Donna Hayes, and our clerk, Ty Kern. Did I leave anybody out? I don't think so. Okay. So we're going to move on to the reading of the minutes from the last meeting, October 26th. Did everybody have a chance to look at them?
Yep.
Any questions, comments?
They look good. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Thanks, Marge.
Good.
Second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, wait,
Aye.
any further? Okay. No further discussion, right? No further comments? Aye. Any opposed? Abstention? Okay, great. Thank you. All right. All right, so we're going to move into new business, application 123720, Putnam Tennis Courts. And is there anybody here representing the Shackletons? Or? No?
Yes, there is. This is David Mahard. There is David Mahard with
David.
Putnam Tennis Courts.
So you're on the iPhone?
Yes, I am. I'm not as versed as some with this Zoom, but I think I have you on audio. Is that correct? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you great.
Terrific.
David, how do you spell your last name?
Mahard, M-E-H-A-R-G. And I own Putnam Tennis Courts.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so Donna, did you have anything you wanted to kind of preface this application with? Because I know I've got a couple questions.
Donna, you're muted.
Donna?
Sorry,
Unmute.
trying to be so efficient and then everything goes crazy. One of the things that I found confusing was exactly where this was being placed. And this is not being placed on the same property that the main house is on. Is that right?
Right, that's correct. There are two properties. Both properties have dwellings on them. So this one's placed on the property that the entry driveway off of Sager Mountain Road, the 398 access off of Sager Mountain Road. You pass a residence, a dwelling, and it's on that property.
So when I look at the map that I got, sorry, Donna.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, when I'm looking at the map that came with the application, I don't see any topography lines on the map, first off, which is a bit of a problem. But I also am not sure. I can see a small, kind of in the bottom right-hand corner section that identifies where the lake is. But then I see what looks like a property line.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a distance of 80 feet from the green line surrounding the tennis court, which I assume is the limit of disturbance, but I don't know because it's not marked. That'd be my first question. I see that 80-foot line. Is that an 80-foot line to the next property? Is there another property there? And which property would that be?
Yes, actually, that's the main residence property. So the access driveway coming in off of Sager Mountain crosses up, I'll just call it parcel 1, which is owned by the Shackletons. And you can see the driveway on the map that I've submitted. And then it goes on to parcel 2, which is the main house property. The 80 feet is actually a distance from it's an old hand dug spring well, which is showing on the map on the property line. But I was actually referencing the distance off this, it's a hand dug, concrete round top to it, spring.
So would you say that the closest you are to the actual lake itself is 200 feet?
We're over 200 feet from the lake, yes.
And what's the regulated area on this lake, Donna?
It's 200 feet, but my concern is when they bring in their construction trucks, they're going to have to cross, isn't there a stream there or a brook there? That's what my inland wetlands map is showing.
Yeah, I actually think this site map doesn't show the wetlands, doesn't show the streams, and doesn't show the topography, and we would need that along with anything else that's missing, but definitely those things, right? In
And
order to act on this application.
there's a lot of trees that are going to have to come down. How many trees are you going to be cutting down in order to put this in?
Actually, it's a large field that's out there that the Shackletons had previously cleared. So it was, it was just some scrub trees. You're a long way from any sort of hardwood or any sort of meaningful vegetation. It was just overgrowth, last 15 or so years of smaller trees that were in that area.
So it wasn't cleared down toward the lake though, was it?
No. That's all been maintained, untouched. Absolutely no. And
So a
as far
couple
as
of
the
things with
stream,
this
actually, the stream, so real quickly, the stream that you, actually off of Sager Mountain Road, you don't cross any stream or inland. As you come on the second parcel property 2, you then actually, further towards the main house, you can see a stream that's off on the right-hand side.
And how far away is the construction road from that stream?
The construction access road, I would say probably 250, 300 feet. We're coming straight
We
off.
actually need- All right, so I would say, Donna, I think we need a site plan that actually shows the topography in the area, shows the wetlands and how far away any disturbance will be. And also an application, it looks like question 6 was not answered. Total acreage of the property, total acreage of wetlands and or water courses disturbed. It sounds like that would be 0, but we don't have it on the application. And total acreage of disturbed regulated area, which may or may not be 0, but it's hard to tell from the information that's been submitted. Is that right? Don, is there anything else missing?
Well, another question I have, it says something here about erosion control system.
Yeah.
What is that? What is that going to entail?
Right.
Actually, down below, it's written erosion control system consisting of stake fabric with hay bales will be installed around the south end of the construction area as shown on site plan. So just a full protection, because that's kind of the direction of the only that I'm seeing on the site. I've walked this site many times. As far as all the information on actually topo and wetlands and those things, I just, this is so far out in the middle of a large piece of property. I didn't know if we'd need this level of engineering, but if we need an engineer involved to map the entire property, I'll just tell the Shackletons that's what's involved.
I think that you can get the topography without hiring at least in our experience, without hiring an engineer. But the question is, so it's hard to know where the area of disturbance is. First off, is the area of disturbance within the green, or will the area of disturbance be bigger than within the green?
It'll be restricted to within the green. It's a relatively level site. There is some, there's some change of elevation where the house is as you come in off of Sager Mountain. That change of elevation is probably in total, I'm going to say 12 feet, but it's over a distance of 345 feet. So it's not a particularly, it is a bit of a bowl that it sits down into. So maybe if I was to be accurate, maybe probably 40% of that change of elevation happens within the last, let's say 60, 70 feet before the court, but it's a relatively, it's a big open field. As you come in, you come through a little bit of a wooded area off of Sager Mountain. There are, and then it just sort of opens up into a big, actually mowed lawn is really what it is. And, but I'm not sure that actually, so I did a lot of searching around looking for maps. I'm not sure, Donna, whether you've ever seen anything with topography. And I don't think that exists. So I think we really are talking about hiring an engineer to come out and.
Well, can't we just look at a USGS topo map
do a pro-
and
I
blow it
might
up a
be able
little?
to pull that up from Yukon and see if I can't get it from there. At least it would give us some
Yeah.
topos.
Yeah,
My-
that's so, yeah.
My main concern is still, when I look at the wetlands map that I blew up and attached with the application for you guys, if you see where the property comes down and then it makes that jog to the left going towards the lake, just kind of placing the tennis court on there, it looks like they're going to be right in the wetlands that are on the map. That was my concern. Not so much the lake as it was getting there. And then once I did a Google map, Google Earth to see what it looked like as far as the trees were concerned, I didn't see any clearing at all. I don't know what date that was, but if he's saying it's been cleared for 15 years, it should have showed me at least some sort of
No.
open meadow.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Google satellite view now, and I see a meadow there, exactly where he's talking about.
You do see it, okay.
Yeah. I don't know if you want me
Yeah,
to
so-
screen share.
So
or
what I
not,
would, yeah,
but-
That would be great,
Yeah.
Ken, if you could do that.
if I could just clarify though, what I was saying was that there was some clearing of shallow woods that were there, but they were less than 15 years old. I was estimating the age of it. There is some more mature actually trees that were
That's great,
kind
Ken,
of
thank you.
farther south and towards the lake, but all those have been maintained. I mean, none of that has been touched, but there was an area that it was probably a pasture, I'd say 10, 15 years ago. I'm not an expert at this. I'm a landscape architect, but I just be guessing at that.
So we
But it
need
was
to
all
take a
just
look at the
sapling
wetlands
type
map.
of trees.
I
So we
think
need to take a look at the wetlands map. And overlay this.
yeah, I mean, you've got
what's
the
kinda
house.
telling us right now.
The house on the
Yep.
map is here. This is clearly
Yep.
wetland bisecting the property. It might not be, depicted correctly on the wetlands map that's in the application packet, but there's also a barn and a shed that are indicated to be on this bend in the driveway, and I don't see them on here anywhere. I see two structures over
Those-
here.
yeah.
Are those part of the plan?
Actually, they're on the plan, but they've been previously removed.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you've got 345 feet from the corner of that house to
Mhm.
the easterly side of the tennis court.
Yeah, that would be the, actually, yeah, on the northeast corner. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And so my concern is like this area right in here on the wetlands map shows that as being, pretty much where the stream is. I mean, you look at this as being the corner and the tennis courts are going like right here. And looking at the Google map, there's a lot of wetlands there.
Mhm. So Donna, you're gonna have to go out and
Yeah,
take a
so-
look at this, I think.
I was gonna say, maybe we
Yeah.
should go out and take a look
Yeah.
at it. If he could
What-
flag it to show.
It is
location
flagged
of
in the
court,
field, yeah.
we'll take a walk out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it has been flagged in the field. It's there. I signed off on the property review form.
Okay,
So, and I'd be happy to actually meet with anybody there and show you exactly where it goes. You know, if it's got to go farther north away from things, we're happy to do that. We start getting a little tighter. The construction access, as you can see, I put in these sort of arrowy looking kind of squares with the arrow actually come from well up above. It could even come straight from the house down if that's of concern with construction access. A couple of things I would point out, we've talked to, I didn't put on this map, but we're going to pitch the court actually south north lengthwise. So any runoff from the tennis court will go actually away from any wetlands that would be like the lake and that end court.
so it sounds like we should schedule a site visit and actually get this all in one place on a site plan so that we understand what we're looking at. And I appreciate your willingness to kind of work with us.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
okay. I can do a doodle poll.
Okay, thanks.
You know, I'm thinking
Thank
it
you.
probably wouldn't be until the week after, well, and this is Thanksgiving week, so we'll start it like, you know, December, what do we got here?
5th. Don't do it before the 5th.
Do it before the 5th?
No, don't do it
Don't.
before the 5th.
Okay. Do you want to do it on a weekend or what time is good for everybody? Are we looking weekends? Or are we looking weekdays?
I never have availability on a weekday, so I'm weekends only.
Okay,
Only, yeah. I think given the fact that it's light, I mean, it gets dark by the end of the workday. I'm, even though I'm working from
So
home,
why don't we try for a Saturday morning?
that'd be okay.
Good.
okay, but not December 5th.
You can do the 5th, just not the 4th, which is a
Okay.
Friday.
Right. All right, okay, I'll send out a doodle poll with a 12/5 date. And then
What's the
depending on how
doodle
many.
poll?
I'm sorry?
I was curious what a doodle poll is.
Basically what it is I send it out to all of the people who are going to be attending the meeting.
Yeah.
Give them a couple of different dates, which they can choose. And then the program figures out what's the best time to go. and the date.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I
Okay.
don't have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll do the 5th and the 12th. Sound good?
Great.
Yeah, anytime would work for me. I'd be happy to actually meet. And if the Shackletons are in town, I'm sure that actually they would join us. And as I said, as far as my evaluation of this property, the wetland I'm seeing that would impact this court is the lake. And as I said, we purposely kind of push that to the northeast as far as we can and still, maintain adequate sort of setback off of property lines and that type of thing. We're kind of centering it in the middle of the parcel, as you can see.
Mhm.
It could certainly go farther north if we wanted to actually march that back there. This was just the location. If you look at the other parcel map, it's kind of as the driveway crosses coming off of this parcel line, it sort of turns south and runs along that court. So there just was thinking about, looking down into it as you went along there. That was, mostly the consideration of why that was chosen.
That's great. Well, okay, any other questions while we have David with us?
Nope.
Okay, so we will reconvene, I guess, in a site visit. Either on the 5th or the 12th, and go from there.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate everybody's time. I hope you're well, happy, and healthy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you for
Thanks,
All
your
right,
time.
thank you for your time, Don. I appreciate your help.
Okay, not a problem. I'll let you know what we're doing.
Yeah. Let me know if there's any
Okay.
information I can provide, and, any of that actually, the topo map, and if that's available, I just didn't know that that was available. But if it is, I can do some work with that as well.
Okay,
Great.
All right.
Thank you all very much. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Thank,
Yep.
thank you, David. Happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you. Thank you. Good night.
night. Okay.
So we just need a motion to table application 123720.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Okay. All right. Moving on to application 123820, Town of Kent, and I thought I saw, there he is, Rick.
Hi.
Hi. And this one, is this just a change from a use that is approved on an as-needed basis to a use that is approved on a full-time basis? Is that what this is?
It's a little mix up on my part where I didn't realize it'd been 5 years already and the permit we had expired. So since it already expired, we decided to put in a new application instead of just renewing it, trying to renew it.
Renewing it, but it does have some changes in wording, right?
Right, and
Uh,
that came, go ahead, Rick, I'm sorry.
The changes were from a amended application that we had for the site, I believe. The last one.
Right,
So
Yep.
that wording should be the same as the last one on record, I think.
Okay, I couldn't tell. And you have, does that mean that you have permanent erosion control set up and that you maintain that erosion control on a regular basis?
We changed the silt sock whenever needed. I put a boom on top of the silt sock in case there's any oil drips or whatever from the parking lot. Last time I changed it was last week in October, so it's fairly new right now.
Does anybody have any questions about this or concerns?
No.
Nope. Donna?
no, no, I mean, it was, all of a sudden, Rick came down and he goes, I think maybe 5 years went by, and I was like, no, that's not possible, and when we looked, it was like, yeah, it's 5 years for sure, so, I don't know if the commission wants to do the same thing again. If you want to give it a 5-year term or not.
What's the alternative? Or not?
The alternative, I mean, the way that they work is, once you start the work, you have a year to finish it. And I think that might be one of the reasons why you guys said, let's do, the 5 years and then we'll revisit it again at that point in time. Because it's not something that's ever, at least in the near future, is going to end. And then it's already started. It won't end in time. So I think it's easier to go ahead and give him the application for the 5 years. And then before the 5 years is up, just have him come in and extend it for another 5.
Yeah.
Which is what I think we planned for the last time. So we're going to have to figure out how to do that.
Mark your
5
calendar,
years.
Rick.
Because I don't, I mean, holy,
So let's see if my phone goes out 5 years.
exactly. We do it in the
Well,
spring
we
or
should
something.
have- Yeah, I wish there was a little wetland automatic calendar that kind of let us know stuff like that.
Yeah.
That would come up on the land use calendar, Can't think of any other way to remember.
I mean, I can try putting it in the Google calendars for whoever is there in 5 years. And then maybe
Mhm.
Google will pop it up. I'll try and
Yeah,
see.
why not? Right, like do it 2 months early or something,
Yes,
or a month
yeah,
early.
Yep.
All right, well,
can
we
say-
have no,
I can say this is Brian and Wood, and I've worked with Rick for years, and any way I can help, he's always honest.
appreciate that, Brian.
My phone doesn't go out to 2027, so I can put it in.
There
All
you go.
right. Okay. All
And
right.
I'll put it on mine and then we'll see what we can do.
Okay.
Now, do you want to waive
Right,
the
any other-
15 days since this is just an ongoing, pretty much an ongoing application that just wasn't renewed? Or
Yeah.
do you want him to come back again next month?
If we can waive it, I don't see why not. I don't know legally what the rules are, but I
Yeah.
have no issue with
I don't
that.
think there's any issue.
Okay.
I don't think there's any issue
Good.
with waiving it, is there, Donna?
I think we can do that. I don't see any reason why not. So I'll put the verbiage in and then he won't have to come back next month.
Good.
Okay. We need a motion to that effect.
All right, I'll take a stab at it. I'll make a motion to approve application 1238-20, effective immediately with whatever particular wording Donna's going to come up with.
Well, it's essentially just a 15-day waiver,
Yeah,
Right.
right?
Yep. Yeah, the appeal, that's the appeal waiver.
I just didn't want to say the actual words and have them have to be rewritten. So
Yeah.
whatever is legally required,
Okay.
I move to approve
Okay.
that in place.
Great. Second,
I'll second.
anybody gonna? Was that Paul?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstention? Okay. Okay, thanks, Rick. We'll see if we can get
Thanks.
technology to work for us.
Okay.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Same to you.
Safe. Thanks. All right. Going to move on to application 123920. This is Campland.
I don't think there's anybody
And do we
here.
have? No?
I thought that Attorney Manassi would have been here.
I have a question for you on this one, Donna.
Mhm.
Is this an application for activities that have, I don't recall having an after the fact application. I recall having a violation application. Do we have an after the fact application process? I'm
No.
just forgetting about it.
Yeah, no, we don't have an after the fact, although I can charge them an additional amount because the work has already been done. This came to my attention when Stan McMillan went up to the camp in 2019 to do his walkthrough. In his role as fire marshal. And then he came back and he said, did they ever? And I'm like, no. And he said, well, there's 2 sheds that are up. And Joe was furious because they didn't pull a building permit either. They did nothing. They just put the sheds up and then they ran all the electricity. So we immediately contacted them, and both Joe, Stan, and I, well, 3 of us went up to the camp and met with the then manager of the camp and said, you need to file with a wetlands permit. I mean, and then you need to do a special permit as well. And he's like, okay, came into the office, filled out all the paperwork. And then from what I can gather, he was let go. Somebody else came in. Then the facility manager ended up coming in, and then he was gone. And it just was handed down and down and down. And I never really acted on it again because then COVID came in and the camp was closed. And then everybody just said, we don't know what's going on up there. So I never issued the violation, basically is what happened, because I was assured that they were going to be pulling the permits. Well, then the new management company came in and saw the paperwork, and they contacted Bill Manasseh and said, we need to take care of this. What do we need to do? So this is the permit as a result of the contacting of Bill Manasseh. So Bill was the one who actually worked with me to fill out the application for camp land. And it entails the construction of those 2 sheds. One is for girls, one is for boys. It is down alongside one of the coves on the lake. And in between the 2 of them, there is I don't want to call it a roadway, but there's a road, there's an access way, but it goes right in the middle of the wetlands. On both sides is covered with Phragmites. They did hire a wetlands guy to come in. I said, you're going to need a wetlands. I want to see the wetlands all delineated. So they did hire somebody. And they had actually put a little bit of, it looked like to me, item 4. Is that what it is? It's like white stone with the concrete in it. And when it gets wet, it hardens up.
Yeah, it's a 3/4 inch stone with stone dust in it.
Right. So they put that in there to reinforce that. I'm sure they use it with their golf carts to go from the top of the office down to the lake. So the people who work at the camp will be using that roadway. So this is where we're
that
at
a
this
roadway?
point.
Was that a roadway that was there pre-existing?
It was, but
Pre-existing wetlands, probably?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Was it, so you said the roadway goes through the wetland, but was it always there? Like
Yes.
forever before the wetland?
Yes.
Okay.
So what they did was they just reinforced it. They built up the area where they put sheds, and then they carried that up that roadway that the little golf carts would be on.
Yeah. Well, sounds like you have to go up there on a regular basis. Are the sheds like on concrete? What are they made of?
I have pictures of them because when I went up, I did take the picture. I did take pictures. They are, it's not a garage. They're long and narrow with double doors in the front. To me, it looked like they were changing rooms more than anything. What they're saying is
But
that
are they on posts? Are they on a dug foundation? Are they on concrete? What are they on?
it looks to me like they were on, they're not on posts or anything like that. It looks like they've been set on thick, what are they, 2x6s, and then gravel around them. And then they're just sitting on top of that.
I just tried that. It's good.
So I don't know what they did to put them in. I don't know if they dug anything. Nobody seems, when those questions were all asked, nobody knew the answers to any of those questions. Well, he's not here anymore. Well, who did, we needed it, and we just figured, it doesn't work. I mean, they ran electricity. They did a lot of stuff. So,
Well,
Is this the
So
same
there's-
company that owned it at the time the work was done? Just that the personnel has changed? Or did the ownership of the property change in that time?
I think it's just the personnel that changed.
I think the management changed. I think that's still the same management company, but I think the people who work for the management team left. That's what I think.
Well, I think we need to deal with this with the owner of the property, because that's actually who's responsible and liable. And they need to know that there are regulations in the town, and it's up to them to figure out when they need to pull a permit and then to do so.
Right.
I'm a
Well,
little
it
worried
also
about
looks,
it, but
looking at this satellite view, it looks like there were trees taken down to put that southern shed in.
I don't think the southern
Yeah.
shed is that southern. I think it's up a little bit farther.
Well, here's the little shed that's denoted along the road, and that southern
Yeah.
shed should be somewhere right where this tree is, unless I'm not seeing it in the shadow of the tree.
Yeah, but this could be a pretty old Google Earth, you know.
No, this one's from 2019.
Oh,
I think it's right where your cursor is.
Yeah,
it's
but
probably.
right now
think
there
the
was a
shed
tree
back
there.
There, in that shadow?
Must be.
It could be. I don't know. That's what I'm asking. Are these pine trees still here?
Let me look at the
Have to
pictures,
check it out.
because I did take pictures.
Or did they take trees down along the waterfront too?
Good question.
No, I think those trees are still there.
Okay.
I
That's
believe.
better.
Yeah, they're still there.
Okay.
Because when I went with Stan and Joe, there's two of them are standing in front of the shed, and you can see those pine trees behind them.
Okay. You just can't see the shed roof through the shadow of the tree. there.
That's what I think.
They're close. So how does the commission feel about this? What do we want to do? It feels perfunctory in the sense of the way that they are dealing with us.
Yeah, this is an unacceptable precedent.
Yeah,
Something needs to be
Right.
done.
I don't know what
Right.
our options are, but yes, I agree with that.
Well, our options are to call it a violation, because that's what it is,
Mhm.
fine them, or not fine them, but to charge them more for the violation permit, and to ask that somebody be present at the next meeting.
I think then that sounds like good recourse. It sounds like we're,
Is that right, Donna?
Yes.
Is there anything else we can do?
And
yeah,
Okay.
is the fine per violation? I mean, they put two different, totally unrelated structures up on this, or is it one project?
You know, Donna, we don't have fines for violations in place in Kent yet, do we?
No, no, we do not. Not through ordinance. I thought for some reason that there was something, and I have to look for it, that talks about the cost of a permit and then the cost of an after the fact permit for wetlands.
Well, there's a cost for a violation, I
Mhm.
think, but I could be wrong.
well, and this
So let's look at it.
yeah, this is a violation. I don't understand. Well, I
This is
don't.
a violation or three violations? Two sheds and a driveway.
No,
Well, the
driveways,
driveway,
they were existing. They've been there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That driveway that you're looking at, not the bituminous driveway, that's been there for a long time, but the other one goes up towards the
On the north end of this?
girls' side of the camp there. And that probably goes back to the 1950s.
Okay. All right. So two sheds.
two sheds.
But
Well, that's a good question, Ken. I don't know. I guess I could go either way. I would look at it as
well, I
one
think
permit.
if they were coming in to put these sheds up, it would be part of one application. Most likely, unless they did it at two separate times. But I don't understand what an after the fact installation is. To me, it's a violation.
I don't think we have one. That's my point. I don't think we
Yeah.
have an after the fact
Yeah.
application.
Well, whatever our recourse is, I'm in favor of whatever the most stringent punitive measure is, because there's no property owner is going to come in here with one of these applications and say their defense is going to be, I didn't know there was a wetland there. I didn't know that
Right.
the soil is a wetland. You've got a lake.
Mm-hmm.
You could throw a stone from that shed into the lake. There's no way you could make that
Right.
argument here.
And
So
Agreed.
dealt with this camp for many years. So, I mean, not frequently, but yeah, Ken's absolutely right. It's obvious.
I don't want any record that we were in any way lenient on this, because this is just straight wrong. So
Paul, you agree?
Yep.
Okay. So Donna, why don't you do a little research and let's talk. We can't talk as a commission unless we have a special meeting, but I'm happy to talk with you. And you can talk individually with all the commissioners if you want. And then let's just figure out a course of action for the next meeting, which is going to be pretty quick, December 14th, right?
Right. So if I get together a notice of violation, they have 10 days in which to appear at a meeting. Send that out on December 14th or December 4th, then that 10 days would be December 14th.
Mhm.
And instruct them to appear.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's the process we have to follow if we're issuing a violation permit, correct? We have to
Right.
issue the notice of violation. Okay.
But for some reason, I was under the impression that there is still some kind of fine that we can issue. And I have to look and
Well, check
see
it out.
where that is.
Yeah, I know that we tried it a few times. I just don't ever remember it going to a town vote, which I think it has to do,
Yeah,
but maybe it did.
there is no fine, but I think if I look at the bylaws for inland wetlands, that lists all of the fees and how much it costs for permits and how that's split out and all, and that if we feel that it's going to be more than the review is going to cost more than the permit, then we can actually add on costs associated with all of that work. Then there's a very good possibility that there might be something in that bylaw. But the town never voted to allow us to issue fines from wetlands
But I
or from P and Z.
Right. I thought, though, that we had a different fee for a violation permit.
I'll look and see if that's what it's under. Because I know when we went to court for Shattuck, when they did all that work over there without the permits, the court
Yeah.
was the one who assigned the fine. It was not assigned by the commission. So we would have to go to court in order to get like a severe fine. But if
I don't know
there's
that we
more, if there's more money for a application as a result of a violation, I'll find that out.
Mhm.
Great, thank you. So, anything else? Then we can have a motion to table this application.
I don't know if you want to table the application or if you want to deny the application and say, issue a notice of violation instead.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense because
I-
if we're tabling the
I don't
application,
know.
we're acknowledging that it's an application after the fact.
That's a good point. Good
Good,
point.
yeah. Thank you, Donna.
So that would be my
Okay.
recommendation, would be that you are denying the application and instructing that a notice of violation be submitted or issued with appearance at the next meeting, which would be December 14th, which would fall within the 10 days.
So moved.
All right. Do we hear a second?
Second.
Any further, was that Ken Dietz?
Yes.
Great. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstention? Okay, great. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Donna.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, so we are rocking and rolling. This is a modification to permit 1173-18. And my question on this one, this is about, again, putting in a shed, and I think Adam is with us. Yeah, Adam's here. But this permit was issued in 2018. Is the permit still open, Donna?
Yes.
Did they start work in 2019? Okay, all right. So work
So
was started in 2019.
Well, the work, they did a majority of the work, but they decided that they were not going to be doing is it a pagoda? Not a pagoda,
Oh,
a
yeah.
cabana.
It was a cabana. It was a
Right.
lakeside cabana.
Yeah, so they decided not to do that. So this would be instead of the cabana, they're doing these little shed. They want to do one shed. That's why I put it down
My
as a
question is really-
modification.
Okay, my question is just really a technical question, not on the merits of the application at all. But
Right,
if the work was started, it would need to have been completed within a year, correct?
right.
So is this actually a modification of an existing permit, or is this a new application?
Well, we brought it in as a
And I don't know-
modification. I didn't even really think of it that way.
Well, if the permit's still open, then it's a modification, right? I'm sorry, because I get confused between the two, and I didn't know if anybody else was too. It's not a big deal from my perspective, but I just wanted to make sure we were technically correct.
Would it, I don't know what the time frame is when things expire, but if it did expire, I don't know if it's possible to renew it, to renew the application so that I can make the modification.
Yeah, it's just a silly technical question. If the permit's still open, when did you start the work, Adam? Do you remember?
I cannot remember when we,
No.
when we, I know that it was, we completed the work that, Donnie, was this summer that you came, we had you come through to,
The pool, the one, that's when I came up with the pool.
right,
But the original permit was granted in the end of June of 2018. And that was for lakefront recreation improvement, stone wall and sand terrace, stone terrace, the cabana, landscaping and tree work. And then in October, Dirk Saban came back and said that they were going to increase the size of the cabana, and they added the addition of a boulder rip-wrap wall. So that was October.
So that was a modification.
That was a modification to the June permit.
And when does the year start? Does it start when the permit is granted, or does it start when the work starts?
When the work starts.
So that's why I'm asking Adam, when did the work start?
When I went up to look at the pool, I don't have that here.
honestly, I'd have to look, I could look back through pictures. You know, because I have photos of everything from the very beginning, and I could figure out when we started to do work on the waterfront. But I don't remember, you know, it was, everything there was, even though the waterfront was one permit and the pool area was another permit, it was still all work being done by the same contractors, and the two projects were very much combined. There were materials that we were using from up at the pool down at the waterfront and vice versa. That way nothing was
Yeah,
ever
this is,
tight. So
I hate
don't
to walk us
know.
down this road. I just want to make sure that we're actually doing the right thing here. Either it's a modification of an existing open permit, or it's a new application. But, and again, it's just a technicality, but
No, I
Why
realize.
could it be an extension of the original permit?
maybe, I don't know. Because I don't know how that works. If a permit closes a year after the work starts,
Well,
can you modify it?
Well,
if you're getting a wetlands permit and that wetlands permit is going to be tied to zoning, then it's good for 2 years.
That was what I
Or
thought.
was this?
Yeah, this was,
So
would
is
have been, I mean, they didn't pull the zoning permit for the cabana, but it would have been tied to the cabana, the permit for the construction of the cabana.
Okay, so you think the time frame, the 2 years, then covers us?
I think it
Covers
does.
Adam.
Personally, I think it does.
But
Can you
if,
check that?
I mean, we're at the end of
I can.
November already. We're at the end of November 2020. If they started the work before November 2018, then it's expired.
I took
they
pictures
were-
of the lakeside work on March 16th of 2020.
Yeah, and they were in for a modification, in October of 2018. So it's,
And then-
it's very possible they did not start in November.
Right. Because
I'm
when I
trying-
went up to look at the pool, I was able to see that they had just started the work down at the lakefront. I thought they had decided that they were going to do the pool first.
Okay.
So then would it be a good idea to grant them an extension and include the modifications in that extension? Can we do that?
I think so.
Well, I think we would grant them a modification and then an extension, right? Because they're actually changing what we approved originally.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
So if we grant a modification to the permit, does that extend the life of the permit, or that's got to be renewed?
Good question.
I would think it would have to be renewed. That's why I'm flipping it the other way. I'm saying let's extend the permit, and that gives them the time to come in and get the modifications. If we can just do it tonight, but extend it first just to make sure that the time frame is open for them to get the work done.
Well, that makes sense, yeah.
And
then we would have,
in
and then you're saying
conjunction
we'd
with
approve the
that, say
modification.
extend the permit with these modifications. Just roll it into one thing. You can't do that.
I think you can extend the permit and then we would approve the modification at the next meeting.
Okay. Okay. I mean, we've got it. Yeah. Okay. I
I mean, I
think
don't know.
extension is more important. If we're not sure about the time frame, and I'm still not, you know, if there was something going on in June or July of 2018, that starts the clock ticking.
There was nothing going on in June or July of 2018. I'm in October and I'm working on it. I'm getting up to November.
Okay.
I'm just trying to find when
Well,
I
that's
have
true.
pictures of when everything started, and I
If it
just
started at the end of November or December, then we're fine. We just need to,
I'm in November
still
now,
need-
and
We still would need to extend it.
it
yeah.
hasn't started at the we'd started up at the pool area, but at least at the beginning, at the mid. So here in December, we hadn't started at the lakefront yet.
Okay. I still think an extension would be a good idea because,
I do too.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think you're right.
The first pictures I have of the lakefront work are, what is this date? Are December 19th. So somewhere,
So,
December 19th of 2020, I mean of 2018.
of 2018.
So
So that's
we're
only
just
2
shy
years.
of the 2 years.
Yeah, but just shy. We should do an extension because we won't be able to get the shed
right.
in this time.
so what, can we extend it for 1 year, Donna? 2 years? How does that work?
I think it's up to the
1 year.
commission on how they want to do it, as long as it's not any longer than 10 years, because that's what a permit is good for. It's good for 10 years. Unless it's tied to zoning, then it's only good for 2.
Or- But if the work has started already
Right.
and it's tied to zoning, so it's 2 years and we're coming to the end of the 2-year period, right?
Well, the
We
zoning
have the
permit,
right to,
sorry, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, we have the right to extend the wetlands permit as long as we want. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's tied to the zoning permit. They never applied for a zoning permit because they decided not to do the cabana. The lakeside work that they're doing didn't require zoning. The sheds will require zoning. So what I would do is I would extend this permit another 2 years,
That makes sense.
and then they have to understand that this modification, so you extend it for 2 years, give them the modification, but they have to complete the work in 2 years.
Right.
And if they
Okay.
don't complete the work in
So
2 years, then it's expired.
All right, so tonight, we could entertain a motion to extend permit 1173-18 for 2 years,
Mhm.
and then consider the modification at the next regular meeting, which is December 14th,
Well,
right?
Lynn,
I think you can do it all tonight.
Well, why couldn't we do it tonight? In
I
two
think you
separate,
I don't know, that's why I'm asking.
why, can we do it in
If
two
we can do it all
separate,
tonight, that'd be great.
can we do two separate motions?
Yes,
So we make the motion to extend the
Okay.
permit. And then we
Okay.
make the motion to modify that extended permit.
So can we do that,
correct.
Donna?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Adam, were you trying to say something when we were trying to figure all this out?
nodding that worked for me.
Okay. All right, Paul, do you feel good about that, Ken?
Yeah.
So, one at a time. We need a motion to extend permit 1173-18.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Second. Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Okay. Next, we need let's talk about this modification. I'm going to see if I can pull up that late. I don't know if I can. Oh, there it is. Oops. So you've got a preferred location for the shed and a secondary location, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that one is preferred over the other. I do have two locations, however.
I see. So one's referred to as number one, but it doesn't mean it's preferred. Okay.
That's correct. And I have some pictures and the site plan that I sent, it just comes in black and white. I can share the same one on the screen, and at least it has some yellow markers because I took an existing site plan and I marked it up, so it's just a little harder to see in black and white. If you want, I can do that.
Well, what I did was I took yours and I color coded it and scanned it in and sent it to them. So,
Oh.
so they'll be able to see the locations of where the sheds are.
Okay. And I also, just everybody, if anybody wanted to see, I took pictures of the two areas. Because there are reasons why those two areas were chosen, that it wasn't willy-nilly.
So why don't you walk us, Adam, through each location and tell us a little bit about the shed too. It's just going to have how's it going to be constructed? Is it going to have a, what do you call it? Concrete? Is it going to be on posts? Is it going to have a I can't think of the word. Are you going to dig a foundation? That kind of thing. Yeah.
So right now, the plan is to buy, at least so location one, we'd like to buy a ready-made shed. So they bring them in and they place the shed where you want them. Just the sheds are the sole purpose are for storage of all of the paddle boards and the life preservers and the paddles and the kayaks and the canoes, and the lakefront furniture. It's a big extended family that uses the property, and there's 20 life jackets. There's 10 or 12 personal watercrafts of some kind or another, and so we've been storing them up in the garages at the house, but then they take up the whole garages and you can't use the garage for anything else, on top of the fact that we have to get them up there and then bring them back down. And then there's floats and all the kind of normal things that you'd expect on a lake.
So those ready-built sheds, they're typically just installed onto a gravel pad.
Yes. And
that's what your plan is for that proposed number one?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the difference with number two is we can't get the vehicle that delivers the sheds there. So there we would have to build a shed. We're proposing either shed would be more or less the same. We're looking at like a 16 by 20 shed that has no electricity or anything. It would have windows on the side to let some light in and a door on the front, you know, like a big double door so you can bring things in and take things out.
So would that be the same thing? You would build that on a gravel pad?
Yes, it would be on a gravel bed.
How's the topography right there?
So in both areas, it's flat. So on location one, there's that particular area. It's almost like, I think once a long time ago, it had been cleared right there. So there's a flat area, more or less flat. It drops down, you know, for the first 10 feet from the road, it drops down about 2 feet. And then it's more or less flat and it's cleared and there's no trees that would have to come down of any size. And I have pictures that I can show you. On 2, if you look where the lakefront is, where you can see the steps and that little curved patio, there's been a mowed path that goes along the lake there, and goes all the way to where the neighbor's house is. And you could never see the neighbor's house before because there were some trees there, but the new neighbor has, you know, they're building a pool and a very big house, and it's beautiful. But when you stand there at the deck there at the waterfront and you look down that lane, you're looking right at the house. You look right at the pool and then the house. So as you go down that path, there's one area in the path that's flat and it gets wider. And we're thinking just putting the shed right there. So it would protect the neighbors from looking at the full family, and it would protect the full family from looking at the neighbors. It's also a better location for the Fulls as far as where the waterfront is and getting the boats into it. It's just a more expensive location for them to put up a shed. So they have to make the decision on, once we have the numbers, on where they'd like to put it.
So is this the second location? Is this close to, there was at one point in time, there was a lean-to that was there that got hit with a bunch of trees. How far is it from there?
So it is from, so just when you look at that site plan that you have, just to the right of where you can see the stairs and that patio, you can see the word that's written there where it says lawn.
Okay,
That's where
that's where the lean-to was?
that's where the lean-to was, right?
Okay, okay.
That
So this is-
lawn was always there. And just because we're looking at that spot, when you look at that boulder wall that we had come back to add to the permit,
Yeah,
turned out we didn't need to do it because as we scraped away the surface there, it was all ledge right there. So none of those boulders are there. That's actually all natural ledge that goes right up to the edge of the road. And I'm only telling you this because it shows boulders on the site plan, but there are no boulders.
okay.
So from that, from the center line on that site plan, it is 195 feet to the front of the proposed shed number 2, more or less. And it's 215 feet the other way, going to the edge of the proposed shed location number 1. And if you look right at, oh, maybe I didn't write it on in that one. The one I have here, and I'll get it to Donna. I have written the 215 feet and 195.
I'm sorry, I'm not following. What's the 215 feet?
So if you drew a straight line from the patio, from the center of the patio to proposed shed location 1, that's how far away that was. I believe Paul had asked the
Oh.
question, how far proposed shed number 2 was from that patio area. That's 195 feet. They're more or less the same distance from each other. And the only reason why there's a difference is because each of those areas it basically existed. You know, neither areas has to have trees removed. They're both more or less flat. The proposed shed location 1 ends up a little bit closer to the lake, but not much, and it is blocked by all of the vegetation that's along the lake edge, and it's still not, it doesn't get that close to it. And proposed location number 2 also has, you know, there's a buffer of woods. It's a little bit further away from the shoreline, not much.
Number 2 is.
I can share, I have pictures. I have a few photos. I don't know if that's helpful to see. Maybe that it'll better explain the lane and what the 2 areas look like. If you want me to share my screen, I'll show them to you.
I would like to see that.
Yeah.
Now let's see if I can do that.
Now you're not.
That's the other thing I
Now,
wanted to
Adam,
I was given,
Adam,
given
you're not
a
asking,
lesson today.
Adam, you're not asking us to approve both locations, right?
Oh, I am. Only one location is going to be used. I just don't know which location we're going to use.
I don't think we would have to actually approve what you choose to actually construct.
Okay.
So, and from our standpoint, we should ask ourselves, what do we think one location over the other is better? Because our only consideration is what's better for the lake
Absolutely.
from a lake standpoint.
Well, so we have 2 locations. I think the family is good with either. I think location 2 on one hand is easier for them because of where they keep the boats and everything now. But the reason why the 2 locations were chosen was because they were both accessible. So I think if the Wetlands Commission looks at it and they really prefer one to the other, then we'll do that. And if you tell me to choose one, then I'll choose one. Does that sound good? Leave it to the.
Yeah, we won't be actually acting on the application to December 14th. So you have time to take a look at those numbers and see if that will make a difference. I'd love to see your photos.
Okay.
If you could share them now. Yeah. Or at the next meeting.
No, I'll do it right now. Connie supposedly showed me how to do that. Okay, there we go. And okay. So that's the site plan right there. And when I was talking about the numbers, here's the center of the patio. Can everybody see my cursor?
Yep.
Yep.
So this location here, location 1 is about 215 feet this way, and proposed location number 2 is 195 feet.
It looks like location 2 is closer to the lake. Am I reading that wrong?
It looks like that in this picture, but when you're there on site, it's not.
Okay.
No, it's I guessed where this, it was 50 feet. I had 50 feet before the.
And location number 1 is about
It's
a little bit.
It's a little closer, but by yeah. So let's see. This first picture, I can't see what it says.
You have lake
Okay.
location 1.
The photos of everybody are blocking it. I don't know how to move them. Oh, there we go. Okay. So that's location 1. And this is why we chose this. So you can see the edge of the access road is right here. For about 10 feet, it drops by about 2 feet. And then this whole area, there's actually grass right in here behind this tall stuff. And this was just a more or less flat area that wouldn't require taking anything down and wouldn't require a great deal of material to level it out. And I have a wider view just so you can see it a little wider. So you can see on either side here and over here, there were just more trees, but this is the way this has always been. And then on location 2, so here's the lakefront from the edge of this path. And you can see as you come down the path, so this is the path that goes across. Here is the pool, and the neighbor's house is right here. But this lane has always existed and always went all the way across. Well, it ends right here. It ends right on the property line. And I chose this spot because it was already wider, and there was less work to do. You know, there was less required of site preparation, less required to level the place for a shed to go. We could always push it further from the lake up here to the wooded area, which I also have a picture of, but then that required doing some clearing, and we were just trying to avoid doing any more clearing.
So you're saying there'd be no real clearing with location number 2?
No, we would do it. So, and you see, this is the wooded area. This is where the shed would be, and this is the wooded area above it. And if you can see that transformer right there, that's where the road is, the access road down to the lake and into the dry hydrant. But
and there would be no real clearing for location number 1 either,
no,
right?
neither of them. I mean, you can see where, if you look right here where it gets wider, this area right here, this is where the shed would go. I mean, why not put it there? And it ends up working as a shield from the neighbors. As they finish all of their work, there'll probably be a little more clearing in there. Up in here, the pool is kind of right in here, I guess. And so the shed becomes a barrier, or unnatural barrier, but a barrier. And if and that area is pretty flat, you know. And then this area on 1, again, you know, there's not much we have to do here to the site to level it off. So both areas loaned themselves to having the shed there, the storage shed.
Location number 2 is not accessible for any equipment. For what reason? Is there wet soils or something between the access road in there? Because that looks pretty open, at least on your picture.
It's open, but we can get machinery down there. We can't get the truck that brings the shed in. For the vehicle that brings the shed in, it's a pretty big trailer, and then the trailer dislocates and drives itself to dump a shed. And I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's actually pretty cool. But it's not getting in there from. So if we go back here to the site plan, if you look right here, this kind of line, there's an access way right in here to where the lawn area is. And
you can't get it through there.
We wouldn't be able to get it through. Once we got onto the lawn, you could drive it all the way to the neighbors, and there would.
Gotcha. Okay.
There's one particular tree. It's not big. That I'd have to take out right there to get it, but we didn't want to take it out. It's nothing special. It's a 12-inch tree, but.
It seems like location 1 is less disruptive then.
Yeah.
How far is location 1 from the lake? Like 40 feet?
About 50 feet.
So it's the same distance.
Yeah. When I measured it, it was a little less. I mean, it's showing it's about 90 feet as the crow flies from here to here. And it was about 50 feet as the crow flies from here to here. They're about the same. I thought this was a little bit further, but again, it was by a few feet. And the only
Mark?
reason
Paul?
why I pushed this 20 feet off of the road was just because there's a little bit of a drop right here. So I just wanted to get it far enough back that it was easy to access. If I bring the shed closer to the road edge, which would be great for the practicality of use, we'd have to put in a couple of feet of fill here, which we didn't want to do.
Marge?
What?
Donna? Ken? Questions? What do you think?
I think we need to know what the owner wants to do as far as location on which shed. Like you said, he's gonna pick one or the other.
Yeah,
And as far as to us, I don't see much of a difference on either site.
yeah.
Okay. Ken?
I feel the same way.
Okay. So do you think then, by the way, these pictures are great and it really helps understand the location. So thank you for that. Do you think, Adam, you can bring a final application to the commission for the December 14th meeting?
Definitely.
A final
Okay.
A
Final-
final modification
modification.
Modification.
Sorry. Yes. Thank you. Yes.
with the exact location, with the location of choice.
Absolutely. I can do that.
Great.
Great. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions for Adam while he's here?
No, nicely done. Thank you.
But
Yeah,
again,
really nicely done.
it's what's the date of the next meeting? December
14th
14th. Okay.
by Zoom.
Okay. I'll get that out to Donna pretty quickly.
Okay. Great.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. Good, nice job.
Thank you.
All right, so let's see, it's a modification. We don't have to table this action, right?
Yes, we have to table the
Or did-
modification.
Okay,
And then for the
Okay.
notes, for the minutes, we'll show that we approve the extension. And then we'll just leave the modification on the agenda.
okay, great. So we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to table a modification to permit 1173-18 to the December meeting.
Thank you. Second,
I'll second.
thanks, Ken. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstention? Opposed, abstention? Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. And thanks, Adam. And I think you can give up your screen now. I'm not sure how you do that, but,
There you go.
Connie gave me a lesson.
Thank you.
Thanks, Connie.
Nice job.
Thank you, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
You
You
too.
too.
Adam. Bye. All right. So now we are on to application 1234. Brian is here still, right?
Yep, I think he's sharing his
Brian.
screen.
Okay,
Have you guys got me now?
we got you. Thank
So we met some time ago. We looked at the, it's one property, it's, but three applicants and trying to talk with the commission about what makes the most sense. I believe you've had an opportunity to, to bring in some professionals, which I think the commission, really wanted to see fully developed site plans, what makes the most sense, good mapping. I'd given you guys some conceptual mapping and making sure that, we're moving in the right direction. After our last meeting, I went out and I marked all the trees. You can see my shared screen is for the northernmost property. Landowner adjacent to that, to the west would be Bayless. Identified all the trees, marked them all, flagged them, tagged them, because I think the commission's concern was, not being able to see this really weird, complex, 1,000-foot long strip along Lake Warmog. So we, had an opportunity to schedule with the commission to bring Donna out and other staff and take a quick look. Others weren't able to make it. We can doodle poll again between now and the next meeting, but the holidays are upon us. I wanted to kind of answer the question the commission had, which is, what are we keeping? What are we disturbing? So on this property you're looking at right now, the northernmost property, quick calculation, you're looking at 74% of the shoreline being maintained in a natural state. The limited disturbance area, I don't know if you guys, can you see the little hand moving around?
Mhm.
Yes.
That's where we narrowed down the kind of use area and what would mostly all existing uses where that is. There's already a gravel path. You can see it on the survey. The thought was to establish a little level sitting area for a patio and maybe a storage box and an area just to turn around a golf cart or something as folks get older, to get off of, pretty much the highway that's along Lake Warmuck. So with that property, you kind of understand, the trees that are all flag tagged, they're either invasive, dead, diseased, or dying. But with the contemplation that the commission had asked and Lynn had asked, what are we getting? Well, you're getting basically 74% of that area remaining in a natural state. Before I click down, do you have commission have any questions about this property? This one is being managed by Lisa at Earth Tones. She's developing a plan for this. She wasn't able to attend the meeting. She wants to go out because of the contours and changes in the land. She wants to be able to shoot some elevations, to be able to figure out how many steps and get you guys a fully developed site plan basically for the white ungreen shaded area on what's going to be a potential impact area. I think in Lisa's universe and having the conversation with her, she doesn't know if she can make the mid-December meeting with a final development plan with getting all of her work done and closing out the season. But at least there's kind of party one is Bayless and Lisa at Earth Tones and a site development plan that probably can't make the deadline for the next meeting. With that, I want to move south and you get a chance to meet Subi, who's been engaged by Spring and Bib.
But before we do that, can I ask a question here?
Sure.
So are you saying that you want to ask for an extension or whatever we call it? All three of these lots are being treated as one application, correct?
As it sits right now, correct.
All right. So are you saying that you really want to ask for an extension? And I guess my question, Donna, is do we have the ability to grant an extension beyond December 14th?
The last day that the commission can make a determination is December 29th. So you can grant an extension until December 14th. With all of the executive orders that came out of the governor's office, now applications have an additional 90 days. So December 29th would actually be the 90th day. So
an additional 90 days from when the application came in, or an additional 90 days beyond our normal review period?
90 days from when the application came in instead of 65.
Right.
Because I'm hearing him say that part of this application won't be ready to be presented by December 14th.
Right. And my recommendation would be, if that's the case, would be that we see what we can get done for December 14th. And if on December 14th, we don't have all three of the site plans, then the application would have to be denied and they'd have to resubmit again in January.
Right. And kind of my thought, Lynn, along the same lines was, if we can't pull everything together by the 14th, then we could reach out and say, hey, let's withdraw the application before the deadline hits. Let's reapply instantaneously. Beg the commission's help to, waive fees if needed and start the clock again. I think that part of the reason we wanted to make sure we had an opportunity to meet with you guys is see what we've done, see who's engaged, understand the holidays and trying to close out the planting year and getting you guys meaningful plans to meet the commission's needs and, decision making. And at the same time, provide an opportunity for Marge and Lynn or other folks amidst the holidays to make a site visit. I'd love to walk it down with Marge's dog. We got to meet earlier. So,
Thank you.
Okay, so we can, so just to make sure that we understand, Donna, that's okay for us to do on the 14th is to deny the application, assuming we don't have everything we need, and allow them to apply, and it's up to the commission as to whether we waive the fee. Is that correct?
Yep. So they can either, if they find that they don't have everything for the 14th, they can say, look, we don't have it. There's no reason for the commission to deny. We're going to withdraw. And then we're going to come back either January or February, whenever they get everything together. And then they'll come back before the commission at that point in time.
right.
And then we can decide whether to waive the fee at that point in time. Is that right?
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I was just I needed to understand the framework a little bit. So
No,
thanks, Brian.
absolutely. It's such a complex property, and dealing with all three neighbors and everybody's in a different lockstep on what they want to do and what makes the most sense. And to have multiple, designers in to meet the commission's needs. I think the most important thing and the reason we all wanted to meet tonight and take the opportunity to chat quick is introduce you to Subi, and at the same time, let you know we're moving forward. There's nothing worse than not moving forward. So that was kind of the goal to achieve today. But to try
Okay.
to, address the commission's thoughts in the previous meeting, Lynn had brought up the thought, what's the benefit here? What's the net environmental benefit? So on this one property, you're seeing, 74% of the shoreline will be, maintained in a natural state as part of allowing, development of that small focused area. To move south, now we're on Springs property, just south of Bayless. It's a huge swath of land that they potentially could occupy as part of the agreement we're working on. We've talked to the commission staff about what we're trying to figure out for the agreement, to allow kind of quasi-exclusive requests for permits inside of their side projected lot lines. In Chris's property and Martha, you can see, trees to be removed on the bottom left, some hickories, birches, saplings, nothing significant. And most importantly, that entire green shaded area conceptually for the commission is going to be maintained in a natural state, which, essentially you can see center right. So it's about 85% of the shoreline on Warmog will be maintained in a natural state. Trees that are being removed are dead, diseased, dying, or in decline. And the game plan is to work with, on this property, Subi is going to be the contact. I'll introduce her in a second, to restore that with native plants, control the invasives, do some simple reworking of the existing land. The white you see on the right side of Lake Warmog Road is essentially lawn. So it's, preserve all the existing vegetation, maybe remove some invasives and supplemental native plantings while maintaining a road edge, to make sure that the BMWs going to the park don't smash through into the property. Then we're moving south to the next property, Craig Bibb. Same thing. He's probably around 60%. At least you see the preservation of existing shoreline is really the key. Minimizing development, minimal grading, white areas are already lawn, green is, preservation of existing vegetation, just removal of dead, disease, dying, or invasive trees that are in really bad shape. The difference with Craig's properties, or Bibb's properties, it's really been hammered by the High Line, by Eversource. They've really, damaged the majority of decent trees, and what's left is not really in great shape. So I tried to zonate it. You guys can see A, B, and C, for feet of shoreline. And, this is all based upon linear feet versus area. So, on a linear basis, something simple to calculate. What's going to be preserved? I think the
And
docks are.
on this one,
Go ahead.
okay, and on this, on this one, you're actually adding some new lawn area, right?
Here we're looking at, you know, and I'll leave that to Suvi. Suvi's got a really good plan. She's gonna present like 3 seconds about, you know,
Okay.
what makes the most sense about, you know, getting the details that you really want, Lynn, down at that granular level. You know, I think my perspective and my involvement's been facilitating. And I think that, you know, what are we gonna clear? What are we not gonna clear? What makes the most sense? So at least you guys, you know, I'll start at the top quick again, because I talk really fast. Northernmost property, we're looking at 74% natural. Middle property, we're looking at 85+% natural. Southern property, we're looking at 60% natural. And with that, Subi, does it make sense for me to turn it over to yourself to introduce yourself to the commission? Because
I think so. I think so. Hi, everybody. I'm Suvi from Sea Green. This is the property that I started working on. Let me pull up my drawing. Let's see. Here you can see the basic plan. And even though we weren't ready with all the drawings, I figured it would be great to get your guys' feedback on what we do have going on. So if you look at the shoreline.
Actually, all I see right now is your listing of docks.
yeah, we're
Oh,
still,
really? It's
I think you have to double click on it.
it's open on mine. Hold on, let me try again. Maybe now. That work?
There you go.
Great.
Yep.
Excellent. So the basic plan is really to leave it much as it is. There's a small portion here in orange where we'd like to level it out and make it a little bit more usable. That we in the green, we would lower a little bit. In the orange, we would raise it up a little bit. That, as you can see, it goes really close to the road. So it's just very steep. It's all just tangles of invasives and stumps. There's nothing significant in that area right now. So we'd like to just clean it up so it's maintainable and usable. You can see in the drawing.
So does that become,
Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, is that the area that becomes lawn?
That's the area that's not lawn. That's because this area is all lawn already, and then this area
Right.
would become additional lawn.
Okay.
So
Okay.
and I think the other significant change is just to add a little bit more access, which is adding these steps to the water at a couple points, which we'd like to do by, if you look on the diagrams, arming the shore with some boulders, moving some boulders. There's a lot of undercut on the shoreline where it's just tree roots and then void and then water. So what we're hoping to do is shift boulders around, get them positioned in a way that they protect the trees that we want to keep, which is, you know, as Brian said, anything that's viable and native, we're hoping to keep. And then from that, build in, you know, some steps that access the water line. In doing so, we would create some pockets, and in those, plant natives. I think first removing invasives, and then to have a better understanding of how much material we can add in. But the big plan, the big picture is to add in natives where we can. So all in this blue zone, we would be doing something like what diagram 1 shows here. Pockets, boulders adjusted, existing vegetation, and then adding vegetation where we have the opportunity to do so. And other than that, it's a pretty straightforward plan. There's no hardscape going in. The dock is existing. We're really just trying to create some access to the water through these natural stone steps, and then level it out a little bit so there's more walkable space. But there's no fire pit. There's, you know, we'll address the gate. There's a split rail fence, and that's in poor condition in some places, and along this stretch of the road, there's, I don't know if you guys are familiar, some of you are, some of you maybe haven't seen it, there's a ton of wisteria. And the plan with that is to reduce it, try to pull it down, you know, prune it down to some main canes, but leave it as a screening because it's so heavily existing. I'd be afraid that if you planted something else in, you'd just be battling the wisteria out of it. So I think it's, from what I understood from Brian, you guys were okay with leaving it, but maintaining it.
Okay.
As
You
far as the
Thank you.
boulders repositioning, you're just going to use existing materials that are there. You're not bringing in additional?
We would be using existing materials, moving them. There are some boulders that are not right at the shoreline that we would like to incorporate to the shoreline as needed. I think, I don't know how you guys would feel about us bringing in other boulders. There's a couple big boulders just on the other side of the road that are on Mr. Bibb's property that we thought might be useful.
I don't have a problem with that.
No, I would say to Paul's point, you know, as Suvi and folks are on site and they're moving stuff around, you know, if we have some native boulders that are next door or on site, you know, within 100 feet,
Mhm.
I think kind of the concept is not to bring in a truckload of riprap.
No,
You know, if we know we have an issue and we got to grab a couple of boulders from the neighboring
Yeah.
property, we probably seek the commission's approval, you know, to bring small boulders in if it makes the most sense. As long as it makes sense to the commission.
Yeah. One question, I have a question about when you think you're going to be doing this work, because that lake edge is, how deep is it right there? When you kind of get to the edge of the property, how deep is the lake right there?
I guess
Does
I
it
should-
drop off?
it's probably better if I jump in and answer that since
Okay. Who is
it's ankle deep. If you step off the anywhere along the shoreline, it's ankle deep or less. You would have to walk about halfway the distance of the dock to get into your knees.
Okay. So the reason I'm asking is because that's actually like spawning habitat for fish. Just something that we would want to think about in the placement of the boulders, that we're not eliminating that, or at least that we're, you know, that we're incorporating that, if you will.
yeah, I would think that could be attractive to leave some shallow areas right up against, so that maybe even would create better spawning areas, more protected.
Yeah.
It
might be-
when you get a chance to visit the property, you'll see there's a lot of very large boulders existing, but
Yeah.
there's about 3 areas. There's gaps between the boulders, and then that's where the water's going and creating the erosion underneath. So really,
Yeah.
we would be dropping one either behind or right in between.
Yeah, so the only question I have is, if you're filling in the entire lakefront there with boulders, then you might be eliminating, you know, some viable habitat. So if you think about the placement to enable, I'm not a fisheries biologist, but I do know that's where fish spawn, is in those shallow areas.
Yeah.
It is, but we're not filling in. With rearranging is probably the best way to.
Yeah.
And I
So
don't,
to
I don't think,
kind of bolster, you know, Craig's point, you know, Lynn, if you were to walk 30 feet out, you're only knee deep, and the lake fluctuates 1 to 2 feet. I would say that you know, what the plan as I see it, and we're proposing is to, you know, place boulders to keep the trees where they are and minimize.
Yeah, no,
what we're seeing is probably
I think-
4 foot wakes on the lake. So I think by putting some rocks in, I think it's going to make the most sense.
No, understood from that standpoint, and also from the erosion standpoint. Just thinking about the other wetland functions, that's all, and making sure that you move ahead with that in mind as well.
I agreed.
certainly, yes.
You know, it's very tough to, you know, take this X hundred feet of shoreline and have it make sense. I think when, you know, Paul was out there and Donna was out there, and that's why Lynn, I, you know, reached out to yourself and said, you really have to see it. because
Yeah.
there's no 1D plan that's gonna have it make sense. You know, I think we've got an opportunity, if you folks get a chance before the snow flies, you wanna come look at it. I think Subi's done an amazing job, you know, with a better plan, you know, for the commission's expectations. We foresee that happening on the two northern properties as well. You know, we're still working on an agreement to see if we can figure out what makes the most sense. But I think with everybody's commitments and the time challenges and the holidays, you know, we'll do our damnedest to get everything in before the next meeting. And at least, you know, worst case scenario, we don't want to be, there's no point to have the commission issue a denial because we didn't have our plans together. If we can make the deadline, we will. If we can't, then, you know, we'll withdraw and immediately reapply, just so there's not a denial on the record. And that's why I wanted to make sure we took the time to talk to you guys and see if there's anything else you guys need. You know, erosion controls. Do you want to see hay bales and silt fence? You know, we don't want to put 1,000 feet of silt fence in if we don't need it.
Well, and the issue will be, you know, how are you going to be placing the stones? Are you using equipment? Are you going to have equipment in the lake? Will there be erosion within the lake? Those kinds of things. And how to stop erosion from the surface of the land into the lake. So definitely those are things you will have to build in to the application. But I really like what I'm seeing here in terms of the, you know, the planting of the invasives of the native vegetation among the rocks. I think that could enhance habitat as well as erosion control. So I think, don't take any of my questions as a criticism of what you've done. I think this is much more thoughtful and also easy to understand.
Yep.
So thank you.
Great.
You know, in regards to habitat too, one of the things that we're not seeing on this plan, but it does show on some of the other work that Brian had showed us, there is quite a few trees that are still going to be remaining along that shoreline,
Yeah.
which is going to be providing shade in those shallow areas, which is important for the habitat as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I guess
And I like the idea that was, you know,
we because Brian was submitting his tree plan, and time was short, I didn't put the trees. I'd have to survey and map out each of those trees. So if you guys need that, I could, but we hope that you would having seen the site, understand that there is quite a few trees that remain.
I think it's important to the record because without that in this looks like a tree cutting plan to me.
Right. Okay.
It looks like you're glossing over a tree cutting to me. So
Right.
I'd really like to see that.
That's certainly not the intention. It was just a matter of time.
No, I'm just saying that's my perception without that. So I would certainly appreciate that.
Yeah. So why don't I get out there and get the bigger material that's staying. I won't put all of it. I won't put the trees that are going to be removed on, but I'll put the trees that are staying.
I think that, you know, to Ken's point, because that's where I didn't want to have, you know, everybody waste time and money having a map of trees that were removed. Because I see that all the time. That's a total waste of resources. Maybe what we can do, Suvi, if it makes sense for you, is just shade in a canopy circle so that Ken could see, hey, the general canopy that exists is in these zones. You know, because the individual trees being removed, they're all dead disease or dying. You could probably actually remove them without any jurisdiction from the Wetlands Commission whatsoever under state law. But we figured we're better off just working with you guys and letting you know where the trees are being removed. So if it makes sense, you know, to meet Ken's need, just to show that there is a canopy that exists, maybe, you know, an overlay of canopy that exists. What does the commission think? That, you know, because removing an individual 4-inch maple is not going to affect canopy. You know, do you guys want to see just a canopy cauliflower leaf edge of where there's going to be trees? What do you think?
But it's not just canopy, Brian, although that's an important factor. It's also, you know, what are the trees that are going to remain for the root structure and for other, you know, riparian values that the lakefront provides, not just for the lake, but for the riparian, you know, the wetlands soils along the edge of the lake. So understanding where the trees are and the canopy, you know, I don't want to create work, but I think to Ken's point, understanding which trees are going to stay, we'll have a pretty good sense of what the canopy is going to look like, but it would be good to know which trees are actually going to stay. We have a detailed, looks like a detailed list of trees to be removed for each of these lots.
Yeah, I gave
right?
you know,
Like, yeah, you say that they're invasives and then they're hickories, ashes, oaks, maples, and not invasives. So,
Right.
Well, they're not invasive.
Right.
They're just all dead, diseased, declining, dying. So that's the reason we flagged them as I didn't want to put them on a map to be removed because I'd rather have the commission be able to come out 5 years from now and see, does the property look like it exists? On the site plan that Subi's putting together so that it's monitorable. What do you think about, understory canopy shading and canopy shading versus
It's
individual
not
tree
just the
locations?
shading.
it's not just
Yeah,
shading
it's
though.
not
That's
It's not just the shading. Exactly. Thank you. Thank you, Ken.
Yeah.
It's all the other values that a living tree provides to the wetland soil in a riparian zone. Shading's important for the lake itself, but there are other values to that buffer vegetation in addition to shading. So knowing which trees are going to stand, I think, is what Ken's asking, and I think that would be helpful.
So should we say trees 8-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch? What kind of scale?
Yeah.
Because there is a lot.
Even yeah, well, even in this, maybe it's not individual trees, but maybe just an area where, the value of identifying the tree that's going to be cut and estimating the number of trees that are left is helpful for the commission in terms of understanding if you actually did what you said you were going to do in the application. But, some of that brush is really equally important. Are you taking out everything that's below 4 dBH? I mean, what are you planning to do? You're not, right?
No.
Doesn't
No,
sound
no,
like
and that's what I was thinking when Brian was suggesting canopy. What the other thing that my plan doesn't indicate is any kind of like existing vegetation, simply because it wasn't on a survey. So I'm happy to add in, where there is significant native vegetation. A lot of that is red twig dogwood and such. So it will be low and twiggy. But I'm happy to add in that information.
yeah, that's
What do you guys think about just areas of preservation versus removals? I just, my concern is that, an arborist, a wetland scientist, a professional wetland scientist, that, mapping every tree on 100 feet of shoreline is kind of redundant. I'd rather have an area that, we get what you guys want to keep and what makes the most sense, and rather than putting.
I think the bottom line for us from a wetland standpoint is
Yep.
the more natural vegetation you can leave along the edge of a waterway, river,
Right.
stream, lake, the better for all of the wetland values. So if you're removing a lot of trees, the linear feet that's not going to be touched is interesting, but I think it's actually going to be touched because you're going to be removing, you're saying, invasives and diseased trees. So it's useful to know where you're touching it. And then where you're not, where you're going to leave natural vegetation, that's useful to know as well.
Lynn, just to clarify in my head, are you asking that each of those trees be shown on the map, or is just a list of trees with a count that's going to be left enough?
maybe like colored zones on the map, similar to the way she's done broken this out in the planting diagram is easy to.
Okay.
Easy to understand.
That was my concern is, if we can satisfy you guys with shaded areas to be invasives to be removed and natives to be supplemental, with significant trees, maybe there's, a number of oaks or whatever in the disturbance areas. I just don't want to get into mapping 1,000 linear feet of trees.
Right, but if we could have a list of how many of each kind is going to be left, would that help, Lynn? Is that what you're?
Yeah, I just think we have to have a sense here because, as Ken is saying, what am I trying to say? We don't want to eliminate the natural area, and it looks like you're not planning to do that from each of these, certainly from the plan that you provided, Sugi, and also from the 3 lot drawings. Looks like a lot will be left. But if you remove a lot of invasives, say you remove, 20 feet long by 10 feet wide invasives, and you don't replant, you don't do anything, you've actually minimized the value of that buffer, invasive or not, from incoming pollutants into the lake from the road, for example, right? So it's how are we going to balance the benefit of the riparian zone against what's going to be lost when you remove these plants that some cases need to be removed, and in other cases you want to remove them because you want to make the area more useful, which is an understandable goal. But we're trying to we have the thing that we have to worry about is the impact ultimately to the lake and to that riparian zone, that wetland soil. So yeah, it's just understanding without going through, jumping through immense hoops, but understanding how much of the area is going to be natural, where you're removing a lot of stuff. Are you replanting? What is your plan? You know, that kind of thing. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll clarify that on the next plan. I mean, almost all of that blue zone would have remaining natives that cleared invasives and some replanting. I mean, in this plan,
That'd be
really
helpful to know.
significant portion of the shoreline is intended to stay looking just as it is.
So,
Yeah.
I know you haven't had a chance to visit it, but the property is very natural as it is, and it will continue to be very natural. There will be no place where grass goes right up to the shore or anything like that. It would be bad for the lake, and it wouldn't be appropriate. And if you visit the site, you'll see that's not the direction we're going in.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like it. But again, you know, this is the area that's the most protective of the lake between the road and the waterfront. And you want to use it. So the question is how to balance that with continuing protection for the lake.
No, and I'd reach out to the commission if you have a chance to walk it. You'd actually see there's a whole series of state drains that actually pierce the entire buffer zone, and the buffer zone provides virtually no value because the state has pitched the road back to drains and essentially directly discharge through the buffer zone. You know, there's some opportunity where we might be able to look at the end of those discharge pipes and put in some riprap and maybe some red twig dogwood or something as a supplemental storage basin before the state discharges a probably 5,000 acre watershed right into the lake. So it's really key to walk it down. If you guys get a chance, we'd love to.
Yeah, it sounds like so Margie, I don't know if you got a chance. Marge, did you get a chance to look at?
No,
I did not get a chance.
I didn't. I thought we were going to go together, and I'm on 2 deadlines right now, and I apologize. I just let it go.
Ellen, it's not your fault. I was going to call you, and we had this big event that we were planning, and we had to change it because of our software and blah blah blah.
Yep.
So yeah, I get it. But if you think you're going to have all the material together for the 14th, I would let me and Marge know, and we'll come hell or high water find a half an hour to go over and take a look at this because I really want to see it, and I apologize for not seeing it sooner. If you think you're not, then that gives us a little more time.
Yeah.
And I am going to go look at this. This is it's an interesting puzzle, and I appreciate what you're trying to do and the care that you're taking in doing it. Thank you.
No, I think that's why I wanted to meet with the commission quick. We don't want to steal any more of your thunder and time, and at least you get to see what Subi's presenting, and then she's going to move north on the next piece, and the third party to the last piece to the north, and, having an opportunity to talk with you guys and see what makes the most sense. At least we know we're evolving in the right direction.
Yeah.
And extend the olive branch. Definitely. That, most importantly, everybody go enjoy your turkey.
Let me put this out there too. Having gone out there, with Donna, and we met Brian, we were able to walk along, and while we were walking, we were able to understand what they're trying to accomplish with the property and what is actually there, what's going to remain natural. I think it's important that, it's many of us can see it, because I do understand what they're trying to do. And I think, personally, I think it's a good plan. But it's hard to look at it on paper and understand just what's going on there. And it is 1,000 feet of waterfront, which is pretty significant. So.
Yeah.
When you're saying remain natural, those green shaded areas, you're not removing any trees in those areas. Is that my understanding of what that means?
The blue shaded areas.
No, the green, the earlier map where it was a green highlighting.
If we were to
he's talking about the lot 1, lot 2, lot 3 sketching. with
If
the
we were to
green.
go to this screen, I believe, Ken, you're talking about.
Yeah, this. Yep.
So green areas are where they're going to maintain in a natural state after the removal of dead, diseased, and dying. I would say
So
on
they
a,
are still being
you know,
trimmed.
a DBH basis and a, Prismal basis, they're probably removing maybe 4% of canopy or 10% of DBH, meaning if it's a,
Yep. And yeah,
you know,
I'm familiar.
if that makes sense. And if you walk the property or even have a chance to drive by, I flagged the hell out of it, painted the hell out of everything. So if, Marge had a chance just to drive by in her car and be like, okay, of
Yeah.
these 150 trees, the 10 dead ones are going,
Okay.
So it's a matter of taking a look at it.
But there's no pruning of the
But-
remaining trees or anything else. I mean, it's strictly
No,
drop
it's-
hazards and
And you can see on this map that I'm
non-competitive
sharing, this entire shoreline here is going to remain in natural state. There's a little bit of clearing here where it could fall. There's a little bit of clearing between the middle property and the southern property. And then going to the northern property where the most significant trees are going to be removed. It's because they're all dead, diseased, or dying right around where they want to go hang out. So,
But are you
there's,
seeing the brush in those areas? Is there brush in those areas?
they're from north to south up here to south where
Yeah.
you see my hand. It's all going to maintain in a natural state. There's a whole series of hemlocks in there that are standing dead. They're not concerned about. There's several, dead hemlocks and invasive, maples and woolly adelgid impact right in the use area. And then heading south, it's basically dead elms. So,
Okay, but my question was about the understory, the brush.
remove nothing.
Is that painting? Okay.
Nothing other than,
All right.
there's a little tiny patch of Japanese knotweed that they want to get rid of, and a little bit of barberry in this area that they want to get rid of. But other than that, even if it's got invasives in it, they're willing to leave it as long as it's not going to fall on them.
Yeah.
Same thing
I mean,
down
even
in here.
when we work with land who are doing riverfront or lakefront clearing of invasives, we always ask for a replanting plan because we'd rather leave the invasives from a water quality standpoint.
Right.
If they don't have a planting plan. Yeah.
And that's where with working with, this property, spring in the middle, from here
Yeah.
down to here, they've got no desire to use this area. They want to leave it in a natural state. What they would like to do is just go in and cut the wisteria and cut the bittersweet and free up the trees. See if they get a chance to get a grip.
Mhm.
But then really their tree removal, to Ken's point, is really down in here where it's adjacent to storm drains and in places where it's dead disease are going to fall on a boat or a dock.
Okay.
We had a balance and a change in bringing Subi in as well, because, the clients, Springs and Bibb and Bayless don't want to spend money on an area that they can remain natural, be it, to Lynn's point, invasive or non-invasive, as long as it's not a aggressive invasive like Japanese knotweed. In that instance, we were able to work with this neighbor to the north, and they have one little, literally 10 square foot patch. And I said, you got to kill this right now. Otherwise it's going to be the entire road edge, and they agreed to it. So it's a balance, but I think as we get more information in and better site plans, but at least if the commission, wants to take a ride by on the way to the winery for Thanksgiving, check it out. You get to see all the trees.
I'd like to actually walk. I'd like to walk it. So if we have time, that would be great. So let us know if we need to do it before the 14th.
Whatever makes sense for you guys. Donna, if you want to throw out another doodle poll, I trust you. I don't want to hold you guys any later than you're already working for free.
Brian, I think part of what Lynn is saying is that if you know soon enough that you're not going to make it by December 14th, we would like to know that, because then that gives us more time to try to find a time when Lynn and I could go together with our schedules.
I would say,
Thank you, Mark.
I would say give me 1 week to figure it out. I'm going to assume that we can't have all the site plans together to you by that date, because we have multiple people involved.
Right.
And I can't commit on their behalf.
Right.
So, shoot for it if you can do it. If you can't, pick a backup, whatever's good for you. I understand deadlines.
No, I think if you are pretty sure you can't get it in by the 14th, if you're saying that right now,
I am.
then, okay, because that gives Marge and I the
That-
opportunity
that
to
would-
plan.
that would
Right
be
now, we are
big
both,
help. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
No.
fine.
that makes
So
perfect sense.
Well, but if for some reason, some miracle happens and you suddenly have it all together, please let us know. I guess that's
we'll
what we're
make it
saying.
work, yeah.
Let us know as soon as you know, and
Yep.
we will go.
I will.
and
Yep.
look.
I'll follow up within a week. Let's plan on after the 14th. And if
Okay,
I find out within 1 week, the third party can figure it all out and have good site plans, I'll let you know.
And we'll make
Okay.
it happen.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you. That'd be great.
I can't thank the commission enough, and I know how hard you guys work, and I promise you at some point, you're gonna look at it and go, oh my God, I figured it all out, and this looks awesome.
It is, I know the area, definitely. I think this is going to be a big improvement, and I think it's just a matter of working out the details. So thank you for all of your work on coordinating it.
All right, and thank you all, and enjoy your turkey day.
You all.
What you said.
You too.
Yeah,
Thank-
thanks a lot. Thanks, everybody, for working with us on this. We appreciate the time and attention that you're giving to it. And we look forward to seeing the next steps. Any other questions from anybody while we have these guys with us?
Nope.
Okay. All right, so we don't have to do anything with this, or do we still have to table this?
Yeah, I would, you have to grant their extension and table to the 14th.
Grant their extension, that's right.
They're
Right,
not
because they
extending it.
you needed to make a decision by tonight. And because you
Oh,
haven't been
right.
able to, you need to grant an extension to them
Mhm.
to hear this again on the 14th. And then table it to the 14th,
So just like we did with the last one, basically,
pretty much.
or the other one. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So somebody just
Motion?
has to say, so moved.
So move.
There you go.
Second.
All in
Second.
favor?
There you go.
Do we have a second?
Hey, you're taking Lynn's
I
thunder.
didn't hear a second.
I did. Ken Dietz. Yeah.
And yeah,
Thanks, Ken. Okay. Okay, any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
All right.
Like, I thank you guys for tabling, and go enjoy your turkey on a table.
thanks,
you all.
Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks you all. Okay.
So now we still have to make a motion to table what we just extended.
Yeah,
But they're gonna withdraw it likely on the 14th. That's my understanding, right?
yeah.
Okay.
But just in case, I will make a
Okey-doke.
motion to table application 1234-20 to the December 14th meeting.
And I'll second that too.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Okay, great. Oh. Okay. Oh, there we go. Thanks, you guys.
Are we there yet?
We're almost there.
Almost.
Written communications, I didn't actually get this in my, oh, yes, I did, I'm sorry. Is this what we've been working on for all these months, the dam that we were hoping the state would deal with Richard Novick? So this is good.
We've been working on this? This was,
Richard Novick, yeah.
no, we were working on the tree cutting. Remember, he
Yeah, but
went
we
in
were
there and
also
cut down all the trees.
Right, but weren't we also working with him like way long time ago on the
Yeah,
dam?
that was quite a few years back.
I was gonna say, that's got it, I think that might be before me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
a
really?
while back. So it
So
looks
he's doing another dam replacement?
He's not, he's just doing, according to this, they're going to be looking for, they're going to evaluate the seepage. So there might be a leak. So they're gonna be doing
Okay.
test pits and that kind of thing. He had called me about this and said, what am I supposed to do? And I said, your dam is registered with the DEP. And you need to get in touch with them and find out what you need to do if you want to do any kind of maintenance on there. And so this is the notice to the municipality. And from what I can gather from reading this, because I've never really seen one before, was just strictly that they're giving notice to the municipality that they're going to be working on the dam to see if there's any seepage, and that we need to go ahead and officially mark this as received, which I did through the town clerk's office. And then I need to make a copy and I need to mail the original back to Mr. Novick so that he can go ahead and file this paper with his application. So it's twofold, but I wanted the commission to know that they're going to be doing some work on the dam.
Yeah.
You know, to look for seepage. He believes that the dam is leaking.
Okay,
Good.
all right. Any issues or questions?
Nope.
All
I
right.
didn't.
Okay, and then
So
the
I will
very
just,
last-
I'll just mail this back to him then.
Thank you. And the very last thing on the agenda, Ken, Town of Kent monthly financials. Anything, it's just the first quarter, anything out of whack?
No, we're actually doing, we're over halfway through after the first quarter with our budgeted revenue. You look at the income line, what I budgeted was $800 and we are already at 462. So for the first quarter, we're at 57.8%. So, but our expenses are doing really well. And
Okay.
we're gonna get, Ty went and took the inland wetlands course. So she's waiting for her certificate to come through.
Yay.
So
Oh, that's
she-
great.
Yeah, so she'll now have an inland wetlands agent designation by going through the class.
That's
So,
great.
Good job.
yeah, so,
Yay. Congratulations and thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
and
Okay.
then I just wanted to say verbally that I am going to be meeting with Trout, I don't know if Trout Unlimited will be there, but DEP, someone from the Inland Fisheries and someone from HVA. I'm going to be meeting them on December 2nd to look at the Pond Mountain culverts on Fuller Mountain Road. To look at what they're planning to do as part of a grant that the HVA has received to do some work on some of the old and failing culverts. They're looking at putting in open bottom arch structures. The grant that they have will get them up to the point where they will be shovel ready. We have the final, they're working with Trout Unlimited for the final design. And then they're going to be meeting now with the local governments to find out what the permitting process is going to be. I believe Rick is going to be there. I know that someone from, and I can't remember her name, from HVA was actually at the Conservation Commission meeting the other night, explaining that to the Conservation Commission. And
Either Courtney or Lindsay.
I'm sorry?
Either Lindsay or Courtney.
It's Lindsay.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar to me.
Yeah. So, you know, that will be something that I will have to recuse myself from,
Yes.
just as a heads up.
Yep.
So we're going to need to have everybody at that meeting, whenever that is.
Yeah. Yeah. So she said she's not sure when this is going to happen because they're going to be trying to get more money to actually replace the culverts, and there's going to be some money that the town is going to have to pitch in as well. And I think, I believe that Rick will probably be there. I know he was invited, and I don't know if Jean was just notified that this was happening or if she was invited to. I don't know if she's going to be there, but I told Lindsay that I would be there. So I can report back on that on the December 14th meeting.
We do have some money coming into the capital plan for it, but it's not going to be real soon, so they may have to wait a few years.
Yeah. Well, don't
Okay.
tell me that.
Well, I mean, they're-
They sit on that grant money. Yeah. That grant may not last a few years, so that's actually something important to know.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it is in the capital plan. We
in
can
the
look at
capital
that.
plan, but that's, you know,
That's for the actual replacement of them.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Rick, are you talking to
money's
Mike?
gonna cover part of that, so. Excuse me,
Are you
Lynn?
talking to Mike Destremski? Mike Destremski?
Mike and, I believe we met with
Okay.
Lindsay before also, but
Okay. Great.
Well, you met with Mike when
Good
you,
project.
to talk about putting it in the capital plan. Right? Wasn't that the original conversation?
yeah, well, Mike's idea of when they needed to be done and my idea, our plans didn't quite come together as quick as we were hoping, so.
Right.
Well, we don't want
But I
to,
had
we don't want to lose
a
that.
number of other bridges in there that we might have to switch around to line up with the grants.
Yeah, that's the issue, is the timing of the grant. Well, thank you. Thanks for working on it.
You're welcome.
Anything else? No?
No, I don't have anything.
All right then. Then we can all have a happy Thanksgiving. I hope are you all going to have a safe, I'm almost afraid to ask, safe Thanksgiving?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
canceled ours.
Yep. Be safe.
Probably
So
a smart move.
I don't know. I really, really am having a hard time with this and I have very, very mixed feelings about it. So we kind of compromised and said, okay, we won't do Thanksgiving dinner inside. And what we'll end up doing is we're going to go down to the Bronx Zoo and celebrate the holiday of lights at the Bronx Zoo as a family. So we will
Oh,
be
that's nice.
outside and, so
Yeah.
that's kind of how we kind of offset the hurt from not doing Thanksgiving. So
We've
Oh,
got
that's
next
nice
year
though.
to do
That's a nice
that.
idea.
Yep. Good idea.
Yeah.
we'll be
Yeah.
outside. We'll be able to have fun that
Yeah.
way.
All right, I'm
Well,
collapsing.
me
Yes.
too. Everybody
Been a
be
long
well.
day.
Thank you,
Yes.
Donna and Ty. Thank you very much. And
Good
thank you,
night,
everybody.
Thank you.
Happy
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. See you
Happy
in
Thanksgiving.
Same to
Happy
you all.
Thanksgiving.
2 weeks for the next meeting.
Wow.
Okay.
2 weeks, don't forget.
Right. Yep. Okay.
All
Night.
right. Very good. Good night.
Night all.